Shankly's boot room. So I just want to just get rid of some of that light over there. Yeah, it's a bit bright, brightish there, isn't it? We'll see how we get on with it. Now, I just wanted to, hopefully Uncle Rodz will be here soon, so we can go over yesterday's game and stuff like that. But we just got to kind of go over a little bit of the transfer stuff because it's kind of like been kicking off all afternoon, really. And where we seem to be, if anybody's, let me just put up the chat there. A minute, yeah. If anyone, as anyone comes in, if you can just let me know if you can hear me, that'd be great. Show on stream, there we go. Yeah, that'd be good. Right, yeah. So what I was saying was, yeah, in light of all what's been going on this afternoon with the Isak stuff and one thing and another, it's probably good to go over some of that stuff. So it's been breaking this afternoon that after the meeting yesterday, after the match, that basically effectively nothing's changed from Isak's side. So it's kind of a real power play there from Isak, you know. That's not an easy thing to have the owners of the club turn up on your door and you just let them really know what the situation is. So we now know that Isak is, well, we never knew before. We know how serious he really is in all of this. And, you know, it's kind of really amazing. So what I wanted to just go over there is, although it doesn't actually change anything in the fact that they still need to bring in strikers, that's pretty clear. We know that. For it to really go, because that's obviously one of the stipulations, is that, you know, if they bring in strikers, then they might be open to the move. Yeah, we've heard all about that. That's been going on all summer long. Well, that's really got to do with us, I don't know, because at the end of the day, you know, with Isak now, it's got to that point where it's quite clear he's got to just go. You know, I mean, we know this. He has to go from the club because it makes absolutely zero sense in keeping him there. And the main reason for that is obviously because he's so, whether these broken promises, whatever they are, you know, whatever the broken promises are over contracts, the timelines and stuff like that, he's obviously been promised things that haven't come to fruition. And I think he's reiterated time and time again that he wants to go this summer. So the last ditch of it all was really the owners, I think, coming over to this match last night, and then obviously had a meeting with him last night, and they were hoping to maybe kind of thrash out some kind of deal, probably with a release clause where he perhaps gives them another year, which would be ideal for Newcastle, of course, because they keep their player for another year and everything else. But things have gone so far down the line now where the relationship is so broken that he's just not willing to engage in any way, shape or form. But it's been breaking all afternoon that basically Isak has reaffirmed his position in that he wants to leave Newcastle and join Liverpool this summer. So that's his stance. And then, of course, in the afternoon, we're starting to see the Strands-Larsen deal is beginning to get, which I thought was actually not going to be on at all this summer. That's what I heard yesterday. That seems to have changed in the last 24 hours. Now they're more open to negotiations for that. So what that will obviously mean is that maybe that might be the starting of things moving along. It's crazy, you know, really, because the way I've always looked at this is if you think about it, it actually makes zero sense to keep a player that's that adamant he doesn't want to play for you. And this could have been sorted out because because they've known for so long. Surely the most sensible thing to have done would have been to just basically cash in, let him go. Yes, of course, then everyone knows they've got a pot of money to spend, but it's the same anyway. But it just would have made more sense, and they could have reinvested in the team, strengthened the team in various areas, not only just the striker area, but they probably could have, because obviously the amount of money we will give them up front is quite high, and that helps them out with PSR. So they probably could have got him for 2 or 3 deals, with just selling Isak, including a striker. And if they'd have gone into their area of negotiation where if they started negotiating with clubs that they can realistically get deals done in, because that's been the whole thing all summer. Really, just can't get really. There's been too many clubs above them that have been going for the same deal, so they've just been missing out on all these deals. It's not actually rocket science when you look into why they're not getting these deals over the line. I mean, they're just swimming in the wrong pool, effectively, really. So that's never been a surprise to me, why that's been happening. And there may have even been some subconscious thought of, if we do this, what we're basically doing is we are letting them know that we're letting them know that we're actually not, by going into it, by going and trying to attract players that are out of your depth, you're already onto a losing thing there, really. So how much of that was deliberate, I don't know, because they've always wanted to keep Isak. Keeping Isak has been clear. Newcastle have never wanted to lose Isak. That is quite clear. But at the same time, with the player doing what he's done over the summer, and us being interested in him and being prepared to offer a record fee for him, that's kind of made the real problems there. So I can see one or two people in the background there. I don't know if you want to just let me know if you can hear me, because I could be talking to nobody here. I don't even know. Yeah, if you just let me know if you can actually hear me, that'd be great. So yeah, but anyway, so I just wanted to go over that bit, really. So we're no further along to where we perhaps were even yesterday, because we're still in the same position where they obviously want strikers in before they'll allow the sale. It depends how far down the road negotiations are, because at the end of the day, with the owners having been over here and our representatives around, I'm sure there's been some dialogue been going on there as well. So it's just be interesting to see. But I've always been calm about the situation, because we've never been linked with anybody else. Because the whole summer we've not been being linked with other strikers. We never seem to be pivoting away from this deal, because the word from Liverpool has never been negative about Isak in terms of that we're going to be going for him, or our chances of getting him, or anything like that. It's always been the same spiel coming really from the Newcastle end, which is, these conditions have to be met. Well, fair enough. But we've never ever pivoted away, even after we made our bid. So we've always been there or thereabouts. So for me, I've always maintained, really, in all of this, that definitely it's going to be basically on, and I still maintain that to right now, that the deal is definitely going to be on. So, but what we do know is that absolutely it appears that Isak would not play for that club again. I'm really strong about that now, because he's met with the owners. So if he's met with the owners and that's his stance, so to speak, then definitely you can say that this is obviously going to be a situation where it just can't be rebuilt from here. So yeah, well, hopefully Uncle Rodz will be here soon. He was supposed to be going over last night's game together, and I wanted to get his thoughts on where we're going with these last minute deals. So I've got my Yakatike t-shirt on. It was brilliant yesterday, I thought. So what we'll do then, we'll go over some of my thoughts of the game last night, and sort of take it from there, really. So if you're just joining us, please do like and subscribe to the channel. My name's Sean. This is the Shankly Boot Room. It's been going a few months now, this channel. I've been doing sporadic shows on here, but I want to start getting into doing a lot more stuff. So I just hope you can join me, and please engage in the chat. If you've got any questions you want to ask me about either what's going on at the moment or last night's game, please do. I'd love to hear your opinions. That's what it's all about at the end of the day, So yeah. So last night's game, where do you start with it? Last night's game, it started exactly how we probably all thought it would start: 100 miles an hour, tackles flying in, Simon Hooper having no control over the game. I predicted that way earlier in the day. I was talking to friends and stuff online and I was saying, this is Simon Hooper. I don't think is a Liverpool hater. I just think he's an inept ref. I think he's rubbish. just rubbish at his job. He's so inconsistent. He'll give fouls for certain things, then he won't give fouls for something similar. He's so inconsistent in that way. Normally with a referee, they either are very card happy and they stamp the game down very early on, dishing out the yellow cards all over, and it's pretty neutral to both sides, generally speaking. But with this guy, that high kick to, was it Ganate's head in the early part of the game? I can't remember if it was always Gravenberch, one of the two, that just went wasn't even anything near getting a card out for that. And then we saw other fouls go on after that and all the rest of it. So the game goes along like this, and we are nowhere near have any control over the game, probably for the whole entire game, virtually, if anything. But I thought, get past 15 minutes, and then the game will settle down, and we'll start to move into some kind of, we'll be able to get passing around, get ourselves out from this situation. And as time goes on, they'll get a bit tired, and we'll be able to, score our goals and everything like that. But of course, it just didn't happen, and it was going on and just getting worse and worse. We were getting worse and worse, I thought. And, Konate was scaring me every time he had the ball. That guy there, Konate, has so much going on in his mind. He is not in the right place to play, in my opinion, in my personal opinion. I think he's torn, I think he's torn between Liverpool and Real Madrid, and I think he doesn't know what to do. I don't know whether he thinks he should stay or whether he should leave the club. I really honestly don't know what he's thinking there. That's how I feel. I think he's an undecided person who obviously needs to make a decision pretty soon. And I think it's affecting his game, because that's not the Konate I know, he's so bad that it's just unrecognizable that it's him. So he's either down tools and he just wants away, or he's just thinking, confused, all the rest of it. I don't know. People deal with things in a different way, you know what I mean? But he's been really, really suspect. And, at the moment, it's only because of our situation with our strikers that I think he's actually playing, because I do feel if there was any competition behind him, obviously we've got Gomez injured, just coming back from injury. We was hoping he was going to play at right back. He didn't play at right back. So he's obviously still not fit there. And we want to obviously bring in Mark Gahey, but that's at a stall at the moment while they go backwards and forwards over the figure for him. We've got to figure in why we want to pay for him, and Palace want to have a higher valuation for him. So Konate, for me, had a really, really bad night, but he wasn't alone. Many players had a bad night. And the thing is for me, against Newcastle, you don't expect to go out there, have loads of time on the ball, play pretty football, play it all around everyone, get it to Wirtz. He sets everybody up, and we score 6 or 7 goals and go home. That ain't going to happen at Newcastle for sure. With this team, with Eddie Howe's team in particular. But at the same time, we have to match up in terms of our intensity, and our play has to match up to them, because if it doesn't, then it's just no point to any of it. So, and to go back to the originals of Liverpool Football Club, as you know, this is called the Shankly's Boot Room. So if you go back to what Shankly would have made of this game, he would have had them guys out there today running up and down there. He would have had them jumping through ruddy hoops, because it would have been an unacceptable performance yesterday for him. I'm telling you now, he would never, ever, ever have accepted such a limp performance in terms of physicality, mentality. Everything just wasn't there in this game. I don't know whether we were affected by the crowd. We let the occasion get to us. I mean, Liverpool Football Club by now have been in so many big matches over the years. We shouldn't be getting affected by these things. We should be able to rise above it and still come through these things, but we just didn't look like we'd done it. I mean, even after half an hour, we still weren't performing anywhere near. And the little glimpses when we did have the ball, it ended so quickly. There was no consistency to any of it, you know. And so that's where it all sort of kind of went wrong for me anyway. And at the end of the day, how I feel about it is that new players have come in. It's quite clear to see some of them are not up to speed with with the intensity maybe of the league or whatever, and they're still finding their way in the team, and it's a bit of a system to what they've been playing in before. But we have to remember, we've actually had 10 days to get ready. This is what actually disappoints me more than anything about this game. We had a lot of time to prepare for this game. We knew that Newcastle would play the way they did. They were going to lump long balls in. They were going to look to counter-attack us, all that kind of stuff. That's obvious that they were going to do that, and that's what they did. But we actually weren't ready for that, and that's one of the things that I find kind of strange, really, if I'm honest, a bit weird. And but there we are. I mean, it is what it is. You know what I mean? It's something we've got to iron these things out. Let's go through the team then. So I'm not going to do a player ratings as such, but let's just go through the players and see what we thought of them. And please put some comments in the comment section if you've got anything on your mind that you would like to share. It'd be really great about what you thought about the game and all the rest of it and certain players. So let's start over with Kirkes then on the left. Had an absolute mare, really, I think. Well, certainly around the goal, obviously. The Guimaraes goal, a guy of similar build, similar height. It's not like he was out muscled. He didn't have Dan Burn rushing at him 100 miles an hour, and he just turns around and sticks his backside out at him, really. With the ball coming in the air, he's hoping that is going to somehow deter, an attempt at goal. So that just made no sense to me whatsoever. And that's just what I'm talking about. You see, that some of the mentality and the thinking isn't right with the players, and it's no surprise to me why we're conceding a lot of goals at the moment, because if the mentality is not right and because if you're a defender and you're going to prepare to turn your back on a player who's coming in and just stick your backside out and hope that you trap his run or something like that and put him off in some way, it's ridiculous. You've got to go and attack the ball the same as Guimaraes did. But we don't do. But he didn't do that. He turned his back on him, allowed him to get the advantage and score from there. So that was the first real big thing there. So Kirkes for me, in the Bournemouth game, he was not convincing either. He's still very young, 21. Was playing in a different system at Bournemouth. He's more of a wing back, of course, where he's got more of a left back position and more of a left back responsibility at the moment. But it would have been nice to have just seen how he does, really, And so, as I say, he just didn't sort of wasn't there at all for that. So Boszalai on the right hand side, by comparison, who's not a natural left back, really was fantastic, absolutely brilliant. I thought he was absolutely amazing. I loved everything he did, And of course, later in the game, he moved higher up, and he was brilliant there as well. He had an all-round, probably the best player on the pitch. Let's be honest about it, or best player for us at the very least, And Virgil van Dijk dealt with everything. I thought it was a brilliant performance, which leads me straight on to the red card incident with Anthony Gordon. So Anthony Gordon comes from absolutely nowhere. I don't know what he was thinking. And don't know what he was going through his head at all, really. Comes all the way across the pitch virtually and goes down the back of Virgil's thigh. Even the whole sock comes down, and later on there's some pictures shown on camera of just the damage he did to his leg. So Simon Hooper goes for a yellow card, which was a shock in itself. Then goes to VAR, and they obviously send him off. It's a red card offence. So that was that. So You would think that going down to 10 men, um, that would change somehow the angle of everything, the way the game's going and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know if it actually really does, and it might even actually fuel it more. Um, so, um, but anyway, it didn't seem to change anything, any angle on the match at all. The Ekatike goal um, was just amazing. I thought, this guy. You know what I like about Ekatike? Ekatike, what I like about him is he doesn't seem phased by anything in a game like that. His second game in the league. He's not played in the Premiership before. You know, playing in Germany before this, and comes into such a cauldron, and he was getting pushed about, shoved about, and he just smiled. He just literally wouldn't retaliate, doesn't get aggressive back. He just laughs it off, and he is, for quite a thin guy, he's quite a strong guy. I mean, Ekatike is strong. Let's get that right. He's really strong. Anyway, picks up the ball. And does that coming almost a trademark shot low to the right hand side and scores. Good, decent bit of power on it, and just an amazing goal. I think we got one heck of a player there. I mean, like a TK, we really do. We really do. But let's have a little look at the new signings then and how they actually did. As I said, I've mentioned about Kirkes already. Wirtz. Now, Wirtz, it's quite clear that this is going to take him a while to get into the league. That's pretty clear. But I've got about 6 people on the background there, guys. So can you just come in and just give us a hi or something? Just got any comments or anything? That'd be great. I'm just worried that this stream is actually working okay, because I don't have Uncle Rodz here yet, which I'm worried about, because it should be here really as such. Chat overlay hidden. Okay. Yeah. So what was I saying? So yeah, we get to the end of the half, goal to the good and all that, and we just think brilliant. No, Ekatike scored after the break, didn't he? Yeah, sorry, I was going to go on about the new players. So Wirtz, now with Wirtz, he, I did notice this in pre-season. Even in pre-season, I noticed a little bit that he does struggle a little bit with physicality. He likes to have a bit of time and space on the ball. He's not going to get that in the Premiership, obviously. He won't get that. And so he's got some adjustments to make. How we deal with that, I don't know. I wasn't overly impressed with Gakpo. Whether we move him out onto the left side for a bit, I don't know. Because being in the centre there, he's always going to have defensive midfielders around him. I don't know. I maybe just sort of going a bit too extreme on that one. But what I did notice is that what I noticed with him is he's obviously not up to speed with the physicality of the league. He's struggling big time with that. And we have had 2 games where the physicality side is important. It's important in all games, but really important against Bournemouth and against Newcastle, because Bournemouth are very front-footed and really press. And obviously Newcastle just so physical. So he hasn't had the best of games to start with in that regard. But that said, I still feel that he is struggling with that. I think he'll come good, guys. I wouldn't worry too much about that side of it. Yes, of course, we could say, we paid all this money for him. He's a world-class player. Why is he not doing better than he is? Would help, of course, if he was fed the ball more, because I think we're still learning about that. It's all out to Salah, trying to find Salah all the time, and at the end of the day, we need to start getting the ball much more to him as well. So how much we're utilising him through games, these two games, has been not the best in my opinion. So that's another area. But yeah, it's a real what's the word I'm looking for? It's a worry in one sense. It's not a worry in his overall. He will get there. Yeah, he will get there. He's a great player, great technical ability, and his stats and everything speak for themselves. And he will transform that into the Premiership as well. He's just got to learn to adapt. If you look at all the small, Luka Modric, you look at David Silva, these are all small, diminutive players that still do well in physical leagues. They both played here. So at the end of the day, I don't see that as an issue that he's a smaller, lighter weight player. He will learn to adapt. He will learn when to use his physicality and when to maneuver the ball quickly, and how he's got quick feet as well. So I'm sure the time will come where that will just all piece together as he gets more understanding with the players around him, as our midfielders look to play him in more. We also got to talk about the fact that McAllister and Gravenberch haven't played together. I think we're much better with them two in the team. They haven't played together yet. And I think once the midfield starts becoming what I would classify as our starting 11 midfield with Wirtz, I think we're going to start seeing a bit of a change there, in my opinion. That's what I think will happen. Speaking of Gravenberch, let's talk about he scored the opening goal, of course, and a low shot to the left-hand corner. Wasn't hit with massive power, but it was so well directed and caught the goalkeeper out, chance of getting across to it, and just a great goal to open up the game. So that was really amazing. But the overall first half is, for 40 minutes, I would say, really, it was all Newcastle in terms of everything they were doing. They created chances. They should have scored, in my opinion. And it was just an all-round really poor performance by us in terms of ball retention and everything. It just was awful. And the thing is, the message this sends out to opposing teams is all we got to do is just all we've got to do with Liverpool is just knock long balls into their box. They go to pieces and we can score. We can just feed off the scraps and things like this. So we've got a lot of work to do on that, because the world is watching, and Newcastle, and now Bournemouth, and now Newcastle. I don't think we've been playing really well, excluding all the summer changes that we've had in terms of personnel. I don't think we've been playing very well since a few games before we won the league. I really don't think we've been playing that well. If I'm really, really honest, we've looked a bit. We're just not quite ourselves, in lots of ways. And some of that could be slight formation changes, new personnel coming in, Jota, God rest his soul. All these factors together go towards being a reason why things have not been so fantastic, so good with the team. I mean, but looking at some of the players, then I thought Curtis Jones done okay, better than I thought he perhaps would do. I mentioned Szoboszlai earlier. I thought was probably our best player, if I'm honest. Phenomenal at right back. Was everywhere when he went later in the match, when he went further up. I thought he was brilliant then as well. Obviously does the dummy. We'll get on to the Rio goal. Does the dummy for that, which was fantastic. And Curtis Jones is a Marmite player. Not everyone likes him. Not everyone thinks he should even be playing in the team, actually. I'm not one of those. But I don't think he done too bad. But he done a couple of things I wasn't happy about. But in general, he was better than I thought perhaps he might even be, if I'm really honest. I think Mo on the whole had a pretty quiet game again, really. I think he's taken the Jota thing really hard. I really do. I think he's taken that really, really hard. Gakpo. Gakpo's a goal scorer. He has an eye for goal. If I'm honest with his overall play, I've never been Gakpo's greatest fan in terms of strength. It's a big guy we're talking about here, Gakpo. He's a big lad. He's 6'3", 6'4", about 6'3", I think. It's reasonably, he's not muscular, but should be able to hold his own on a pitch. And he just bottles out of most of the things. I know he got the assists today for 2 of the goals. So So we mustn't forget that. But in general, a game like this is just, he's not going to be there for you, really. You can't rely upon him to stand up and do what he should do. And that's what I think we had a bit of with him, really. So that was a bit of a shame. But like I say, it would be nice to look again, maybe before the window shuts, at maybe what our availability is going to be there on the left wing side. I know we're linked with Rodrigo. I'm not too sure where we're up to with that. If that will ever happen, I'm not 100% sure. We obviously got Isak and hopefully Gay to get over the line before that. So I think that might be a last minute deal if it does get done. I know we've spoken to the agent. I know we've spoken to the players' representatives. So there's been dialogue there. But how far along that can actually go, I don't know. Whether it'll actually happen, I'm not sure. I'm not keen on Fofana. And I'll tell you for why. Because I don't think he's an upgrade on Rio. He's got more experience. He's a little bit older. In actual fact, he's got a lot more experience. But his ceiling is no higher than Rio's to start off with. And he's not so long on his development that I would say that he's any better there. So that's a kind of a pathway blocker for Rio, in my opinion. So I'm not happy to see him. I wouldn't really want to see him coming in. I don't see the value of that. Rodrigo's different. He's a class player, won lots of stuff, playing at a high level for a few years now. And that's a whole different ball game, really. But and we need someone to come in, obviously, with Diaz going. But I wouldn't really say that about Fofana, in my personal opinion. A lot of people rate him. In my watching of him and what my understanding of him is, I think he wants to come to Liverpool. I think he might even be holding out for Liverpool, actually, in the hope that he does come. I wouldn't want to see that, really. Because, okay, let's say, for instance, Gakpo gets an injury. At the moment, we would have Rio and Fofana, two very similar status players, if you like. I know Rio's a lot younger. He's only 16, coming to 17 at the weekend. But even so, even with that, I still think he has such a higher ceiling. And I think even, you could see it last night when he come on. He just had one idea, one thing to do, and that's to just go past people, get into the box. He's so dominant on that. And that's what you want, of course, from your wingers, And I don't know that Fofana would really... I'm not saying he'd be a bad signing. I would just rather see a higher quality one if someone's coming in that Rio, as example, won't look at and think, that's a block to me. Because at the end of the day, you can understand when someone's of a certain ability, That's why I don't see Ekitike being put off by, say, if Isak comes in. We might look at Isak as a better player and in a better stage of his development. But Ekitike knows he'll sometimes play with him, or he'll come on in games, or he'll start games, and Isak will go. We know there'll be rotation there, and it has to happen. And as a big club like Liverpool that want to go for everything, they've got to have the players in. So I don't think that's a big thing for Ekitike. All he'll do is just keep on playing and scoring and doing his best, But as I say, so I don't want that pathway blocked for Rio, because I do really rate this boy. I think he's absolutely special. He really, really is. It's not exactly amazing news. I know we all think the same, but yeah, he really is. Anyway, I'm digressed off the game a little bit, but I just wanted to mention those things. So Wirtz, I think he'll get up to speed. He just needs, whether he stays in the team or moves into a different place in the team for a bit. Either way, he's got to get used to the league, and he's got to get used to the pace of it. And there are many ways of doing that, including dropping him, of course, unfortunately. But I don't know if I see that happening. But yeah, second half starts. Ekitike scores so fast that Arnie Slot hasn't even sat down yet. Comes out to the news. He's kind of like all shocked. What? So surprised. And yeah, so that's kind of the thing. I just want to check if I've just had a message from Uncle or anything, because I'm just wondering why he's not here as yet. But yeah, so yeah, I think my kind of thinking in all of this in all of this with Verts is that I just think it's about patience with us. We've got to be patient with him, etc., etc. It's not going to happen overnight. That's clear. You know, it's going to need time for him to really get into the league. But the ability like that is not in question. Right, I think Uncle Rodz is here now, so we're going to bring him in.
Hello, sir.
Hey, hey, Uncle Rodz, can
How
you
are
hear
you,
me?
sir?
Yeah,
Yeah. How you doing? Can
yeah.
you hear me?
I'm doing really good, thanks. Doing so well, yeah. I was just going over uh, with the people in the background watching there. I was just going over a little bit of the game yesterday and
Yeah.
all the rest of it and that kind of stuff. But what I wanted to just say to you, Uncle, is that because in the last couple of hours it's gone a bit mad um, around the story that Isak has now really doubled down and has kind of like told the owners, look, I just want to go, I just want to leave. They've
Yeah.
turned up at his door, they've gone to his house. So it's quite a brave thing to do if you think about it in one way. To have the owners come on your door and you just say, look, I don't want to play for you anymore. Sorry. I want, I'm off. I want Liverpool.
Yeah.
And we don't know what was discussed, of course, but he's made it really clear. Now, of course, that doesn't change things directly with Newcastle because they've also gone down the line of we need to get strikers in and all of this sort of thing. But
Mm.
what it does do is it gives a really strong shout out to the fact that Isak won't be playing for them
Yeah.
no matter what
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah.
That's the thing there, isn't it? What's your
You see,
thoughts?
it could have backfired on Newcastle because Isaac could have looked at that and said, "Look, well, you know what? They must be desperate, isn't it? They must be really desperate for me to stay, right? You know what? Last time I spoke to you, I wanted 300 grand a week. Now I want 450 grand a week. You could have said that. Do you know what I mean?
Mm,
And like Newcastle couldn't have said anything. You know what I mean? They could have. They would have just had to do it. Do you know what I mean? So it's a very desperate move for them to do that, to turn up his doorstep and say, yeah, you know, we want to keep you, sign another contract. It's very, very desperate. And I always say this, you know, I said it before. Listen, there's a big difference between a big club and a well-supported club. Do you understand what I'm talking about?
mm,
And to me, at the end of the day, that's a well-supported club mentality. Them doing that. Big clubs don't do that. Big clubs don't do that. You don't. You want to see Liverpool doing that. You want to see Man United doing that. You would just see Arsenal doing that. Do you know what I mean? You know, so
mm,
there is a sense of like, you know, a big club mentality and a well-supported club mentality. Do you know what I mean? So it's very bold for them to do that. Now at the days, now that he said to them, look, you know what, appreciate you coming around. Do you know what I mean? But I still want to go to Liverpool. Nothing's changed. I want to go to Liverpool. What I feel Newcastle should be doing now is saying, all right, then, you know what? Get on the phone to Newcastle and work out a deal that's going to be best for them and Liverpool. Do you know what I mean? Stop the stalling
mm.
tactics. Do you know what I mean? Just get the deal done because this has been going on too long now. Isn't it? It's become a sort of like a saga, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? You know,
Mm.
even like
Well,
look at the
well,
family.
yeah, well, we've heard from
Yeah,
Eddie Howe himself, really, that he
yeah,
wants it resolved. He doesn't want it going on anymore. I mean, without coming out with it straight, he's more or less saying, "Get rid of this bloke. You know, he's no good to me. I want players in that I can work with,
yeah,
and can become a part of the team because this guy doesn't want to play for me. Why would I want him here?" That's
yeah,
more or less without being that brutal, but that's what he's basically saying in an indirect way, isn't it?
yeah. And it's true what he's saying. You can't blame Eddie Howe. What's the point of
No.
having a player at your club that doesn't want to be at your club? Do you know what I mean? No other team would do that. You know what I mean? You look at all the teams in the Premiership. No, they wouldn't do that. They would just say, "All right, you know, what, just get rid of it, go, just go." Why should Newcastle let they be hanging on to somebody that doesn't want to be there? It's like a marriage, isn't it? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you're married and like your wife doesn't want to be with you anymore. There comes a day and day that you have to accept it and they will look. I'm not going to be married to this person anymore. Do you know what I'm saying? You know, so there comes a time that you have to let go. And I can see from Eddie Howe, he just wants to let go now. He just wants to sort of, you know, let's let go of the player and we can go out and get players that want to be at the club. And now more than anything, yeah, they need players at the club because one, Anthony Gordon, he's been suspended now. Yeah. Joe Linton's probably gonna be out. Do you know what I mean? It looks like Tonali might be out. Do you know what I'm saying? You know, so they lost a few players yesterday. Do you know what I mean? You know?
Yeah.
And so listen, I just hope this gets resolved. You know what I mean? Because listen, I want him at the club. I want to get this resolved so we get him in, sign him up, get Mark Gay, and if we're gonna get a winger at the same time, we get a winger. But let's just get it done. It's just going on far too long. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And the thing is as well is the money that they would get for Isak, we're going to pay quite a lot of it up front. That's what I've heard. So with that money up front, that helps their PSR, and even for right now, it helps them. So they could have actually, even earlier in the window, they could have been using that money to strengthen the team and get players in and around. Yes, of course, when they go into clubs to ask for players, they're always going to be a bit higher because they know they've got this money. But it's the same now anyway, because even if they go and buy players now, people still know the same thing. At the end of the day, they know if Isak comes to Liverpool, they've got money. So it doesn't change anything on that point anyway. But they just should have been doing. The thing is, with Newcastle, they were fishing in the wrong pond.
Yeah,
they were fishing in the big pond with us, with Man City, with Arsenal, with Chelsea, with Man United, etc. They wanted to be fishing in that pond, and that's not their pond. Their pond is over here, you know, with the Brightons, and to be fair, that's where they are. And so, because they were been fishing in the wrong pond, that's why they were getting knocked back after knockback after knockback after knockback with a lot of these deals, because they were also wanted by teams that have a much greater history or greater success, or they're just a bigger club, they have a bigger revenue, etc. So that's where it's all gone wrong for them, I think, over the summer period. And then because they've doubled down on this, we're a big club mentality, when they're actually not as big as they say they are, that's not helped them either. And so it's just been a big mess for them, really.
Yeah. So no, exactly. I think they was punching too much above their weight, if so to speak. They should have sort of like what they should have done, right? It's a moment that they heard that Liverpool was in for Isak. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, is said that right. You know what? Let's work out the best deal that's going to suit each party. That's going to suit us, going to suit Liverpool, and suit Isak. Do you understand what I'm saying? You know, let's do that. And then what could have happened? What could have happened? They could have had this bulk of money, because I think they was going to probably have got like 90 million up front or something like that. Something that effect. Do you know what I mean? They would have got that up front, right? So that can be sort of like put towards, do you know what I mean, getting Sesko. Do you know what I mean? You know, they could have the money there, right? You know,
and for people who don't understand about deals and stuff like that, because whenever we hear, oh, we bought a player for 80 million, or we bought a player for the money is never all up front, of course. It can be paid in installments. But we were prepared to give them a lot of money up front, which would give them a lot of power. They could have put that onto 3 or 4 players, actually, as their and then they obviously do their negotiation to get that over a deal over 3 or 4 years or whatever. So it's quite a big thing. So this money to them would have been really valuable. I say would have been. They still can be if they get this deal done quickly. But for the moment, we just don't know. Now, Strand Larsen, I thought was off yesterday. That's the feeling. That's the feedback I was getting. But in the last couple of hours, 2 or 3 hours, that's moved along a heck of a lot, and it looks like that he might be that Newcastle might be able to get him in. So if that happens, do you reckon that we could maybe go in for a bid after that, or what would you think about that?
Yeah, I think Strand Larsen, again, that'd be a good player for Newcastle. I think once they get that sort of like deal really close and it looks like he's going to go to Newcastle, I think Liverpool don't wait anymore and say, right, you know what, let's go. Let's go for the guy. Because remember the days, like, Monday, the window closes. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you literally want your guys like your Isak and your Gay, right, in at Liverpool latest weekend. Latest the weekend. You want them at the club latest weekend. I'm talking about having them at the club and having their medical. Do you know what I'm saying? Having their medical at the club latest the weekend. Do you understand what I'm saying? You don't really want to wait till the last day of the last day of the last day.
Right.
The only way that you wait till the last day of the season is when, like, if there's any, like, last minute deals, last minute deals that you can get, like, when we go shopping and day, right?
Yeah,
and they got
yeah,
the discount part. Do you know what I mean? And you rush to the discount part and just get your little bits of bobs. But it's something like that. If there's any last minute deals, that do make sense to Liverpool, you can strike in it on the last day of the transfer window. But ideally, you want these deals that they for your players like your Gay and like your Isak. You want them done for Friday. You want them done for Friday. I'm talking about sort of like deal agreed, in bid accepted. Do you know what I mean? And like they're going to be on their way to Liverpool. That's what you want on Friday. And then the weekend, you just do the medical, and then obviously Sunday you can have your players unveiled, at Anfield for the game on Sunday with Arsenal. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what you want to do. So hopefully this Strand Larsen situation gathers more pace, because apparently what they're talking about is like Newcastle going to make a fresh bid, and apparently the fresh bid that they're going to make is going to be accepted.
Yeah, because I think they've had communication about what would be an accepted bid. If we were to bid, what would you be looking at? What would be the ballpark figure? So I think obviously they've given Newcastle that now. So now they're just a case of them going away and saying, right, okay, put the package together and we go back to them. I think that's how that one's working. That's the information I had anyway.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. I think by Friday, I hope Gahey and I think we'll meet Crystal Palace in the middle for him, somewhere in the middle. And I think when it gets to say Friday, then the sweat will be really building up on Parish's forehead, I think, because he doesn't want to lose any money. So we're going to be calling his bluff on that one, I think, and I think that'll probably get done. They're already looking. I think they're looking at bringing someone in, aren't they?
A Kanji in Man City.
Yeah. So they're obviously trying to cover themselves on that side. So things are beginning to move into place. So we just hope this all gets done. It's been a nightmare of a summer with the whole Isak thing, but in particular. But yeah, let's just move quickly on then to yesterday's game. Whew. Wow, where do we start?
Yes. Yes.
My blood pressure been taking a right hammer in the last few days.
It was my birthday yesterday as well. It was my birthday yesterday.
Yeah.
And I did a stream
was
on
it?
my birthday.
Oh, happy returns, man.
Happy returns. Like, so for I wanted 3 points for my birthday. That was my birthday present. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
so you got that. Okay. Yeah. Brilliant. Yeah. My thinking was I knew it was going to be frenetic. I knew it was going to be crazy. But I was thinking just get past that first 15 minutes or so, and then things will start settling down and we'll be able to find our way into that's what I was thinking, But that's obviously not what happened, really, because they just kept going. But what was your thoughts around the start of the game?
Oh, man, listen, so blood pressure again. Yeah, you're right. I looked at the game. We looked a bit shaky in defense. Do you know what I mean? And some of the players looked a bit nervy. I thought Szoboszlai played brilliant at right back. He was brilliant at right back. He was. There was a thing where they sort of like they got past one of our players. Yeah, I think it was skin one of our fullbacks. I think it might have been Kirkes. You know what I mean? And they put a ball inside like a cutback, and then the guy, I think, who was it? Was it Gordon? I think it might have been Gordon. I think basically, and then he had a tap in. He literally had a tap in, right? And like Szoboszlai came from nowhere and just blocked it. You know what I mean? And then it
I
ricocheted
remember
into
that.
sort of like Alisson Zana. So I thought he's really good at right back. But I do think sort of like some of our players were nervy. Defense looked a bit like bit up and down. I mean, Verge was good, but like my mate Kanate wasn't that good yesterday. And I'm
No.
always defending Kanate, but he was horrible yesterday. I don't know what kind of game he was playing.
Do you know how Canate? I was saying this before before you joined us. I was saying this a bit earlier in some of my summary of the game, and I was saying that Canate to me, everyone's saying, "Oh, his head's gone. He's in Madrid." Do you know what I think? I think he hasn't made a decision. I don't think he knows whether he wants to stay at Liverpool or he wants to go for an adventure at, whether it be at Real Madrid or PSG or wherever it might be, whatever. I just think he's a bit undecided, because I do think he loves Liverpool.
Yeah.
And I think that's affecting him. That's affecting him because he's got all this, because the way how he's playing at the moment, it's not his normal. He's all over the place, which is not him.
Yeah. It was just like, well, it's just like really horrible to watch. I just think it really, if that's the case, and it could be the case, do you know what I mean? I just think in the day he just needs to make a decision. Just make a decision.
Yeah.
You want to stay or you want to go? You know what I mean? Because if we take that as gospel, that that could be the fact of why his performance are getting affected. Do you know what I mean? It's affecting his performance, man. And he's not doing himself any good to sort of like the Liverpool fans. Do you know what I mean?
No, that's
just
right. Yeah.
Get yourself sorted and decide whether you want to go or you want to stay. Do you know what I mean? If you want to stay, sign a new contract and then we can draw a line under it. Do you know what I mean? And you can get back to doing the things that you do best. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
But I did actually think sort of like we were a bit nervous, but I thought once we got a foothold in the game, we calmed down a lot. Do you know what I mean? Leading up to sort of like the Gravenberch goal, and we calmed down a lot, didn't we? We just calmed down a lot, and we started to pop the ball about. Do you know what I mean? Keeping possession, moving around, trying to move the defense around and stuff. And that goal by Gravenberch just came out the blue. I didn't realize that the day that I was like, "What? What's happened there?" Do you know what I mean? He just took that shot from a long way off, and it went in the back of net. So I thought at that time we controlled the game. Then obviously we had the Anthony Gordon sending off. Do you know what I mean? We had that sending off. Then comes the second half. Now we controlled it. We was controlling it, and then about 30 seconds to a minute into the game, Ekitike scored. Do you know what I mean? Ekitike, another blinding player. He's quality.
Yeah. Even Arne Slot never even saw it.
Do you know what I mean? He's like, he come out and was like, what's going on?
What's going on here?
He goes, what's happening? What's happening? He goes, oh, we scored. He goes, oh, okay. You know what I mean? It was quality. That was quality. But like, but I think after that we scored that goal, second goal. I think we took a lot of things for granted and we took our foot off the pedal. You know what I mean? We thought we're 2-0 up, and next thing we thought, we said, right, also they got like they got a player sent off and they're down to 10 men and that. And we just took it for granted. But so that allowed Newcastle at the day to sort of like get back in the game. So when you look at the set pieces now, do you know what I mean? Which is very crucial. Yeah. The fact is, at the day, we wasn't marking our men, and we allowed ourselves, to get bullied in that sort of like situation. Do you know what I mean? Because there's no way that sort of like Bruno Gomes should have been able to head that ball in the back of the net. Do you know what I mean? That happened and nothing that, and then you just got to get a bit. You start to get a bit go from bad to worse. They started to get back into the game. It was starting to move us around and this and that. Do you know what I mean? Attacking us, and then they had nothing to lose. And then of course, they get their equalizer and it's 2-2. Do you know what I mean? But the signs were on the wall that was going to happen. Signs on the wall was going to happen.
I didn't know what I had no idea what Kirkes was doing for that goal, because he basically turned his back to start off with. And then he sort of backed into a player. It's not like there's a corner coming in and you're just trying to jostle for strength and position. This is a player running onto the ball, and he's got to go and deal with that. But instead, he turns his back and then sticks his backside out and hopes that's enough. But the ball was in the air. It's not.
It was just like, it was amazing.
Like he had the ball to feet or something. The ball was in the air, so he just had a disadvantage all round. So that made no sense.
Even the second goal. When you look at the second goal, what was Konate doing? You know what I mean? He was like holding off Dan Burns at the day, right? He was holding off Dan Burns, and Dan Burns was holding him off there, right? But Dan Burns wasn't a threat. It was Oslu that was a threat. He should have known that Oslu was going to run onto that. Do you know what I mean? You get what I'm saying? And it all happened on his side. So Verge couldn't get over there in time to sort of like to do anything. Do you know what I mean? You know. So you know,
our defensive position, I thought was a bit high. I think we needed to be a bit. It was a bit too high there as well, which I think was another issue on that one.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, then get to the end of the game, and I'm thinking to myself, because Rio and Harvey were on the sideline for quite a while, and I thought, he doesn't want to bring these on now because he's looking at these high balls coming in. Anyway, he brings them on, and then you tell me about Rio, what you thought of all that.
There's no words that I can say about Rio that you probably haven't said yourself. And other Liverpool fans probably haven't said this up. He's just amazing. You know what it is? What it is his awareness. Do you know what I mean? His awareness and his attacking mentality. Can remember at the day when he got the run before it, and then when he come on and he got the ball, he was taking on the fullbacks, which Gappo wasn't doing. Gappo wasn't taking on the fullbacks. He was taking on the fullbacks. He was running at them. Do you know what I mean? And they literally didn't know what to do. He's going, hang about here. Do you know what I mean? Now we've got a new threat now. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And he's running at them. And his awareness at the day to get in position when that ball came in, because it started from Harvey as well. Because Harvey Elliott got the ball and he passed the Salah, and he passed the Gravenberch, and Gravenberch passed it in. But he's like, you know, Harvey Elliott has actually started off this sort of like path. Do you know what I mean? And when it come in and like Sabos like quality again. Quality again. He just literally stepped over, and like when they interviewed Rio, right? I think this morning, and they said to him, you know, did Sabos know you was there? And he goes, I don't think he knew I was there. I think he more or less hoped I was there. He was hoping that I would be there. That's why he done with it. Do you know what I mean? You know, and he goes, lucky enough I was there. Do you know what I mean? But the awareness at the day, because remember at the day, he could have took a touch, couldn't he? He could have took a touch.
He had time to.
Yeah, time. And all the time was to take a touch. And even if he took a touch and placed it, he would have still scored. I reckon he would have still scored. So he could have done that, right? But the awareness, the technical awareness to curl that first time, unbelievable. Unbelievable. I went mad. I went mad. I thought, so, wow. We already knew he was a player anyway. You know, for the pre-season, we already knew he was a player. Do you know what I mean? But listen, this guy at 16 years old, do you know what I mean? Right? What were you doing at 16 years old?
Yeah, I probably was chasing after girls, I suppose. But
trying to get into pubs, isn't it? You know what I mean?
He's just incredible. He's just done his GCSEs, I'm assuming, and here he is. The thing is with him, he's got so much self-confidence. That's what I like about him. He knows, he gets on the pitch and he knows what he wants to do. And in his mind, I'm going to do it. I'm going to get into the box and I'm going to create for someone, or I'm going to get a shot off myself. That's how I look at him. Because as soon as he came on, he went through a couple of players, dribbled and got a cross in. That was the early attempt, I remember. And then obviously later on, he was just in the right place for the goal. So he's just phenomenal for his age. He really, really is. I know we've got to keep a bit of a lid on it because he's still very, very young and all the rest of it. I get all that. But I think we've got a star there. I really do. Absolute star. You know, really do.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
And I think he's gonna sign a new contract. I heard, probably in the next couple of days or something. I think when he turns 17, a proper professional professional thing. So hopefully we'll look after him on that. And we just got to look after this boy, really. But I still feel we need to bring someone in on the left wing. Do you?
Yes, 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 yes. Without a doubt, without a doubt, you're right. I mean,
Yeah.
with all Rio's greatness, because he is great, and what I like about Rio, he's that he wanted to come to Liverpool. You know what I mean? He wanted to come to Liverpool. That was his destination. He could have stayed. He could have stayed at Chelsea. You know, he could literally stayed at Chelsea, but he wanted to come to Liverpool. That's what I like about him. So hopefully we can develop him the right way. But yes, you're right. We still need a left winger. Do you know what I mean? Because that can do like a wealth of good for Rio. Do you know what I mean? Depending on, you know, I mean, if you get like say like that guy from Leon, the guy from Malik Fofana, if you get him, or even if you get like Rodrigo, which are both players are possible. If you get those players, what you're looking at, they can learn. All three of them can learn from each other. Do you know what I mean? You know.
Yeah.
You never know when Salah goes in Africa, we may decide to put one of them on the right. Do you know what I mean? Like to sort of like alternate with Chiesa, because I thought Chiesa yesterday, when Chiesa came on yesterday, he looked good as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He kind of calmed things down. He got on the ball. Do you know what I mean? Got on the ball and he calmed things down. We wasn't so jumpy. Do you know what I mean? You know, so we still need a left winger. That's what I'm trying to say. Sort of like, you know, let's get this Alexander Isak deal done at the day. Then we can start bringing in other players. I think we're still 3 players short. That's me.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
I'm the same as you on that. Yeah, I mean, we definitely need to try and get Gay in. Obviously, Isak, and definitely a winger. Because the thing is, we still, if you think about it, God rest his soul, we lost Jota.
Yeah.
Nunez, obviously Diaz. So we got to, you know, we got replacements we need to bring in, and that's got to be part of it, really, because we don't want to leave ourselves short, because then we'll be messing ourselves up if we have injuries or anything, you know.
Yeah. You don't.
If you look at it right now, from a natural left wing perspective, if we lose Gakpo, we've only got Rio. We can shoehorn people in, but it's really Rio, isn't it? So we can't be going into the rest of the season with that. So I reckon we'll be very busy over these next few days. You know, I do. Yeah. Well, thanks for joining me, Uncle. I've got to get going actually soon, but I'm probably going to do if you're free. If you're not, it doesn't matter. But I'll probably later in the week do a build up to the Arsenal game, because I'd like to get your thoughts on that game, because that's going to be really something, with us being absolutely shite at set pieces and then being the set piece kings. So I'm really worried about that game. But we'll chop that up another time. In the description is there's quite a lot of people in the background here, but they haven't put any messages. I don't know if my message thing is working or not. I don't know, because I just come on the stream there, but there's been loads of people in the background there, but they're not coming speaking on it. But in the description is Uncle's channel. Please go over and give him a subscribe. Go into it. So just click on that, give him a subscribe and a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate that. And you know, and thanks, Uncle. I really appreciate you giving up some time to come on here and just chat up about
no problem.
About the match and stuff. You know, really appreciate it.
If you need me for the Arsenal game, just give me a shout. I should be available. Just give me a shout and I'll jump on, mate. If you need me for the Arsenal game, you know what I mean? It's a pleasure being in this show. I like to and chopping it up with you about the game and this and that. So yeah, definitely.
I love it. Right, guys. So we're going to close it off now then, but for joining us, and we'll catch you channel if you haven't done so already. I'm trying to get myself to 200 subscribers. I think I'm on about 140 now at the moment, something like that. And so yeah, appreciate it. So yeah, so catch you on the next one, guys. All right, so yeah. All right, thanks, Uncle.